Hello again, everyone. This is Joe Hentges with Beyond the Chart, helping you become a better trader or investor. Welcome back. This is the weekend market wrap for Saturday, October 17th. We're going to take a quick look at the Russell 2000 on a daily and weekly basis. Take a look at the VIX, then look at USO for gold, oil, and then gold, GLD. And then a quick look at my commodity table. I've got a table of ETFs that I use with my insider members. And then just a quick look at Michael Kors, which was a trade idea we got out of on Friday. Okay, so let's start off here with the Russell 2000. So on a daily basis, the Russell 2000 was basically basically unchanged, down 0.46. So you can see a doji bar in here for Friday. And the movement for the whole week, we'll look at that in a minute, but we're fighting this downward trending 55. And on my charts, I use Fibonacci numbers for the 21, the 55, and the 233. So the short, intermediate, and long-term trends. The blue line is the 10-day exponential moving average. It's kind of a trigger line for me. So right now, we're still fighting this downward trends in here. Now, yes, we've had a snapback, but we're still, at this point, lower lows and lower highs. And actually, recently, the Russell 2000 has been acting a little bit weaker than some of the other indices. Now, on this initial thrust, it did not go down and take out, the October 14 low like a couple of the other indices did. But then also the other indices, once they hit that, and once it did that, they did not get lower here, like on this thrust down at the end of September, like the Russell 2000 did. So we're getting a little bit of, they're not all acting the same, but that's normal. I mean, that's the way they play out. So right now, again, we're still in a pretty solid downtrend, and I'm looking to see if this thing's going to roll right over and head down. The long term, take a look at the long term or the weekly. Now the weekly is basically a doji bar. So for the whole week, we're down 3 points. So with everybody else being up, all the other indices being up for the week, the Russell 2000 was actually down for the week. Pretty much stayed, I think it maybe went 1 point higher than the prior week. So pretty much the entire trading range this week was inside of the trading range of the previous week. And then we remain unchanged. And we're right at the 10-week moving average. And here's the 21-week coming down. So when you look at this, again, on a longer-term basis, we're clearly under, we've broken below, we've kind of hugged it, and then we came back out of this trend line from the 6+ year trend line. So it just looks like it is starting to roll over. When you go back to the daily chart, and you move back out, you see I actually had two trend lines in here. I had a 4-year trend line and a 6-year. This is from the 2011 low, and clearly we've broken that. And of course, that's the longer term one we just looked at. All right, let's take a look at one of my indicators. Look at the VIX. I look at a lot more with the extended view that I give my insider members. But the VIX was kind of interesting here on Friday. It pushed to a lower low on Friday, which naturally the Dow was up 75 or 74 points. This is what's going to happen. But what's interesting is the RSI, which is, I use a 10-day RSI. The RSI did not push to a lower low. So we have some short-term divergence in here, bullish divergence for the VIX. And of course, when the VIX goes up, the market typically is going down. So this is not guaranteed because it could continue to push lower and go below this point. But I view this as a little bit of a flag. Okay, so that's the way I'm looking at it. All right, the next one we're going to take a look at is oil. And oil basically kind of retraced the 2-week movement that it gave. This is a weekly chart, so oil kind of retraced. It's still fighting these strong downward trends on a weekly basis, the 21-week, the 55-week. When you look at it on a daily chart, you can see the consolidation sideways a heck of a lot more right in the middle. If we were to break out of this, I would expect we would go the distance of this consolidation up here, which would be right about to the 233-day moving average. All right, when we look at gold, gold has really been looking strong the last 2 weeks. Look at this move the last 2 weeks. Very, very nice. And the volume for this last week is very nice. Also, I like the way the volume is coming up on this. And so, it came right up to this longer term trend line. And this is the longer term trend line that contains all of this corrective move, from the high back in 2012, or actually 2011. And so that corrective move we break out above that trend line, and I think it's going to go. Right now it's acting, and given my wave count and everything I've got on in terms of the Elliott wave, this looks like, to me, this is getting ready to go. All right, that's it on gold and oil. The last thing I just want to mention, I just wanted to show you really quick, commodity table. This is just a portion of what I show on ETFs. Here's what happened with all those with gold and oil. So for the week, oil was the weakest, gold was the strongest. For the month, silver has been the strongest so far for the month of October, and natural gas the weakest. And for the year, silver has been the strongest and oil the weakest. So that's just a quick summary. I'm going to start doing this on a weekly basis and updating this. And then the last thing I just want to take a look at is Michael Kors. And we got in with puts right here on Michael Kors back on the 22nd. Been in this a long time. Actually, my initial stop was at 40.04, and it got to 40.12, and I didn't get out, and shame on me. And I did not get stopped out back up in here. And when he got back down to that again, I said, okay, I'm not going to be so tight. I'm going to give it plus or minus like 10 cents. Well, it got down there again and I exited. So we ended up having a nice 35% profit. It just took a lot longer than I thought it was going to take on the trade idea. So the work still worked out very nice for us. All right, that is a quick update for the weekend market analysis. Everyone have a great weekend. We'll talk to you again next week.